he is ring chasing. He is saying, I'm here to win a title as a mercenary, and that's the story of LeBron. You got the Akron chapter, the homecoming thing, but that's not going to be me. I'm going to be someone who transcends the jersey.
If you're doing something that's so easy, man, you might want to reconsider what you're doing. I can't. You know, Durant's been a friend of mine for a very, very long time. So is LeBron and all those guys. Would I make the same decision? No.
Message.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Tyler Rose TV, best basketball show on YouTube. Let's go! All right, so Pablo Torre, you may know him, may have heard of him. If you haven't, he basically is the whistleblower. He investigated what was going on with Steve Ballmer, Kawhi Leonard, and the Los Angeles Clippers. Found out there was some type of, private accounts or private things they were funneling money towards, and they were basically paying Kawhi Leonard, estimated, I think, like $27 million. And, Adam Silver, the spineless guy, found, nothing with Steve Ballmer, no emails, they said. So, of course, they're not really going to dive deep into the richest owner and try to, penalize him because, at the end of the day, Steve Ballmer, opened up that facility. He opened up the new arena. He's doing a lot for the NBA. They ain't going to really do much, and I understand it. But listen, if it was David Stern, I think things would be a little different. But nonetheless, let's talk about today. So Pablo Torre recently was on a podcast and was asked about LeBron James joining the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, he had a lot to say. And Pablo, I got one thing before we get into today's video. You like to look into things. Look into the biogenesis scandal in 2012. Look into the fact that Randy Mims, a close friend of LeBron James, was named there. And even I heard Savannah James was even named in this report from what I've seen as well. I want you to look into that, because a lot of people haven't really looked into that. And since you want to dig up old things or dig up in people's personal business, we want to get into the bottom of that. Because, listen, I looked around sports for a long time. I lived around sports for a long time. When it comes to big names, the only things I can remember was baseball, Barry Bonds, a lot of those players. When it came to basketball, never heard the Kobes, the AIs, the T-Macs, the Shaqs, the Jordans, the Patrick Ewings, the Charles Barkleys, the Wilt Chamberlains. You never heard too much about steroid use or PED use. And only one name, came up when it came to basketball. And of course, you got like the Rashard Lewis's and things like that. They caught up with a few things, OJ Mayo. But when it comes to big names, LeBron's the only guy. So Pablo, you want to investigate something? Look into that. But let's get into today's video. If you're new to this channel, hit that subscribe. Let's do it.
Not like he needed the money. He certainly is not getting paid the way he was paid throughout his career. Why wouldn't you exit gracefully through Cleveland? Why wouldn't you go back home after the Miami debacle? Why wouldn't you go back home and just have a beautiful bookend? And, he can stand in the stadium, fists raised in the air, saying, I am Akron.
That's fair.
So Philadelphia was the most shocking of all the choices for the reasons you say. LeBron has a bit of a paradox to him. He is the most narratively sensitive character I've ever seen in modern American sports. He is constantly, I think, aware on some level of the documentary he is starring in. And in fact, is a pioneer in sports in terms of having a production company, of being a human television show. And all of that is true on the one hand. And so why does he do this? Right? This is not the ideal ending from any screenwriting perspective. And what it does to me is it asserts LeBron James as a figure for whom his story is not one that can be peer pressured into existence. Like, LeBron chose something that I think is fascinating and also inconvenient, right? This is not a fan base in Philly that was crying out for LeBron, but what he's going to do is say to them, hey, you haven't won a title since 1983. I can do that for you. And I happen to be the guy, by the way, who would then become the only person in the history of the sport to win a title with 4 different teams. And so what he's doing, in other words, Joe, and this is a rude word, is he is ring chasing. He is saying, I'm here to win a title as a mercenary, and that's the story of LeBron. You got the Akron chapter, the homecoming thing, but that's not going to be me. I'm going to be someone who transcends the jersey.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, let me know where Pablo Torre said a lie there. LeBron fans are interesting because the reason why they're so interested in me is because LeBron put up some decent numbers this past season. He put up some great numbers in the playoffs, but they'll tell you he does the greatest, at this age, right? He's better than Jordan. He's better than Jordan ever could think of being at this age. But then when it comes to me putting expectations and saying this is championship or bust, he's old, bro. He's 41. Why are you saying that? Wait. It's all convenient for you to compliment this man, shit on everyone else's legacy, to say he's so good at this age. The minute I put expectations on that, we're taking that away. No. He's old, bro. He's old. Pablo Torre is not lying. This man is the narrative-chasing god. This man cares so much about him winning championships and him framing the narrative to say, well, yeah, I ring chased. Well, you know what? Everywhere I win, I win. So at the end of the day, no. We're not changing the narrative to that, bro. Everywhere you go, you stack the deck. And everywhere you went, you stack the deck. And guess what happened? You came up short 6 times. We know what happened recently. News came out. Somehow he has some type of deal going on for him to do his kind of a last dance type of documentary thing. So obviously Philly's his last stop. So he's trying to essentially win a championship there. He has 2 years to win a championship with an MVP and Jalen, and Finals MVP and Jalen Brown, and a league MVP and Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, who was an All NBA player. I think he almost led the league in scoring, or top 3 or top 5 in lead scoring. Then you have Jalen Brown. Then you have Edgecombe. Like, he has a great roster. Anthony Simons, Dean Wade. I mean, you name it. Their roster is great. They already beat Boston, came back 3-1 with Brown and Tatum. Now you add Brown to their roster, and you get rid of a guy like Paul George. I'm expecting them to win. Stop the nonsense. Stop the lies. Get out your feelings and be real. You go to a team where expectations are championship or bust. And don't tell me anything about his age, but then turn around and compliment him and big him up because of his age. There has to be a clear difference there. We have to like iron out the details. Which one is it? Are we going to kiss the ring because he's good at a late age? Or are we going to say he's old and he should, just not play at all? Right? Now, you would think, right, in the story, in the fairy tale ending of anything, people start and end where they started, right? That's something that would have been a great story, even if he didn't win, right? Even if he doesn't win a championship in Cleveland. He went back to the franchise who drafted him, his home city, his home state. You go there and you deliver, or you at least try, and you hang it up. If not, why wouldn't you just go for a veteran minimum, play with your son, which that was your biggest dream for you to play with your son and stay in LA? I'm pretty sure LA would have kept him for a veteran minimum. There's reports that said LA didn't want to, deal with him, or they weren't going to give him the max dollars. I remember when Rich Paul said LeBron's taking max dollars. He does not want to play on a veteran minimum. He's going to get max money. He thought the market was going to give LeBron a max deal. Seems like that changed really quickly, and now he's signing a veteran minimum to ring chase. So the man couldn't potentially go back home. No. He could go potentially back home. The man could have potentially renegotiated with the Lakers. Maybe had some type of sit down and say, hey, listen, I'll take a lesser role. I just want to play with my son. I want to be close to home. No, he's leaving his family back in LA to go all the way to Philly. Apparently he's going to live in New York. He's going to ring chase. And then when he fails, he's going to blame somebody else. I'm already waiting for their headlines when Philly, because usually when LeBron goes to a new super team, they don't really do good in the first couple of games, usually like the first month and a half. And we already know they're not going to play a real, their schedule is really good. They don't play a West Coast team until 18 games into the season. But aside from that, we know there's someone's going to get the blame. We know somebody is going to get the blame. Who do you think is going to get the blame? Is it going to be LeBron? It's going to be the 41-year-old? No, of course not. They're going to be like, LeBron sacrifices. He's a pass-first kind of guy. Even though he averages for a career pretty much the same amount of shot attempts as guys who are real scorers like Jordan, like Kobe. I think he might even average more shots per game than Kobe. But, the narrative is he passes first. He's a pass-first guy. Well, I really want to see how this is going to work. But what Pablo Torre is saying is nothing, that's shocking to me. But what I would like to, put out there is that when people try to discredit people as being haters for being critical of people's moves or being, somewhat having an opinion, it really is like a cop-out to say, stop talking about this guy because I don't agree with you. So you rather call me a hater or call him a hater for saying how they feel. And then guys like this, who are essentially on the independent side, aren't really having any horse in a race to defend, right? But, you'll never see this type of talk anywhere else in mainstream television. And that's why the networks are trash, because people are afraid to be honest. And when you're afraid to be honest, it's usually because you're compromised. It's usually because you were told you couldn't say certain things. So when Pablo Torre is coming out, who is not afraid to investigate a billionaire like Steve Ballmer, and he says this, I'm pretty sure he has a really good opinion on it, and I agree with him. So now's the time for you to tell me, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about this situation? Is he right? Is he correct? The man's already developing his documentary. He wants to plan it. He wants to show, hey, listen, I'm trying to win. He wants to have that in his documentary, have him leaving the last dance like Jordan did. He had that final shot over the Utah Jazz, the push off, and LeBron wants to end it with a championship. So he's signing to the best team. But listen, in reality, right, what Michael Jordan did, what Michael Jordan actually did, and here's what the things that a lot of LeBron fans don't like to hear is if Jordan came back when he did, and, at 38, 39 years old to play with the Washington Wizards, he did that because of different things. He didn't want a ring chase because he could have went. The report said he could have went to the Lakers, could have played with Phil Jackson, Kobe, and Shaq. So if he really wanted to win a ring, he would have went there. He was satisfied with his legacy and how many championships he's won and how he dominated the league. He came back to play some ball. He had some type of ownership deal with the Washington Wizards. He's like, you know what? Let me go play for a few seasons for the love of the game. The difference is when you play for the love of the game versus when you play to sit there and try to chase rings, it becomes different. When you're satisfied with your prime because you've already accomplished a lot, you're like, you know what? I can go play because I love the game. But you can't sit there and compare playing because you love the game to being at this age and going to play with a whole new team, move your whole damn life to a separate coast right across the damn country to chase a ring when you've established you went to LA to be around your family and to play with your son, and you got to do that, and now you're just leaving it all behind you because you want to go chase a ring, so you want to chase this ghost that you say that you don't want to chase. Pablo Torre, you got it right. Now it's time to hear what you guys think. This is Tyler Rose TV. My name is Tyler. If you're new to this channel and you want to become a member, hit that join button. You can join for $6.99, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.